There was definitely some energy in the air with some of the great talks we had today with Sir Robert Swan and Callum Roberts, and it's just the beginning, we're just starting. So tonight we continue with the theme of exploration and adventure and understanding our world a bit better. And someone to kick that off is our own area, the outdoor adventure journalist in the area, Terry Tomlin, who is with the Tampa Bay Times.
Welcome. How cool is it to have the Blue Ocean Festival here in St. Petersburg? Put my glass of water down here. Notice no plastic bottles at Blue Ocean. We've got a lot of dignitaries here today, and I'd like to acknowledge Mayor Rick Kreisman. I thought for sure you'd be home watching election results on MSNBC. You don't strike me as a Fox News kind of guy. But we'd like to say welcome to the much anticipated Fabien Cousteau Mission 31 documentary film preview, which details Fabien and his team of aquanauts' mission in the Florida Keys back in June. It's the longest science expedition to take place in the Aquarius, the world's only underwater laboratory. Fabien's epic Mission 31 expedition broke new ground in ocean exploration and honored the 50th anniversary of his grandfather Jacques Cousteau's original 30-day underwater living experiment known as Con Shelf 2. That was featured in the Academy Award-winning film for Best Documentary Feature, World Without Sun. As the first grandson of Jacques Cousteau and son of Jean-Michel Cousteau, Fabien spent his early years aboard his famous grandfather's ships Calypso and Alcyon. He spent nearly 3 decades of his life with his grandfather, and he even learned to scuba dive at age 4, which I think is not allowed here in the United States. Today, Fabien is an oceanographic explorer, conservationist, documentary filmmaker, and now, officially after Mission 31, an aquanaut, which also makes him the first Cousteau aquanaut of his generation. I tell you, I spent a day in the Aquarius, and that was enough for me. He was down there for 31. So you got to give him credit for that. Tonight we're going to see a little teaser of the Mission 31 documentary film that will be released, but also learn from Fabien about how he and his team were able to keep the importance of the ocean in the news, classrooms, businesses, and homes worldwide for 31 consecutive days. And then after we're done, we'll have a Q&A session with Fabien. If you want to ask him a question, tweet your questions during the talk to his Twitter handle, and that's at @FCousteau, and that's spelled Coustaau. And I'll look at the questions, pick the best ones, and we'll have a little chat afterwards. So with no further ado, which is French, here is Fabien Cousteau.
I raise a glass to you all. It's FCOUSTEAU. Well, it's an honor to be amongst you this evening in beautiful St. Pete. I know it's been a long time in the coming. Debbie and her team and Charlie and all you guys that have made this possible. It's just amazing to be here in its rightful home, right here in St. Pete, Blue Ocean Film Festival. I'm usually somebody who fidgets and walks around, so being stuck behind a podium is something new to me. So what do we talk about tonight? Oh, the oceans. Space, the final frontier. To boldly go where no person has gone before. But what about inner space? An amazing place. A place that is obviously dear to all of our hearts right here in this room. 3.4 billion cubic kilometers of volume. And yet, with the advent of everything my grandfather and other ocean pioneers have studied and done and explored, we explored less than 5% of that wonderful ocean world, that liquid that connects every single one of us on this planet, that gives us the things that we love and allows to exist everything that we've ever known. We have a lot left to discover, and I knew that my grandfather, had he had the opportunity, would have wanted 3 lifetimes to be able to do all the things he wanted to. But that gives us an opportunity to look into the future and give to those next generations those opportunities to explore, to discover, to become better stewards of our planet. You know, I've got something to confess. When I was a boy, they thought there was something wrong with me. They might be right. Now, anyone who knows a little bit about my past is I sometimes have crazy ideas, like becoming a shark, or spending 31 days in something the size of a school bus at the bottom of the sea. But when I was growing up, I wasn't a very good student, and I apologize to the educators in the group. I know that there are a few of you out there. I got the chance to meet you earlier. I was a terrible student. Terrible. Because I was looking out the window all the time, looking at the birds, looking at the sky, looking at everything but that chalky, dusty, two-dimensional death trap of time in front of me. And the reason was that, you know, just like today's world, just like the upcoming generations, I was stimulated by a lot of things, which, to my educator's conclusion, was that there was something wrong with me. And so after many batteries of tests, after lots of torture sessions in a special room, they determined that although I was slightly dyslexic because I'm a left-handed person and all that, that they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. But they never really tested for creativity, for a sense of adventure, and yearning to see what's around that next coral reef. And I think that's a shame, because we lose that sense of adventure when we grow up. And we really shouldn't, because that is the essence of life after all. So maybe I can blame this book. Maybe we should burning them all. The Petit Prince, the Little Prince, because it gave me a sense of wonder of what we are, who we are. Or maybe this book, which is the Jungle Book, because it gave me a sense of wanderlust, living with nature, free from anything, in a little loincloth. I've tried that. Believe me, the mosquitoes like it too much. You don't want my stomach. Or this one of my favorite comic book series when I was growing up. Tintin, Le Trésor de Rackham Rouge happens to be one of my favorites, and the subject of another expedition I did that most people thought I could never pull off. And thanks to a team of pirates that became my crew, we were, and we had a great time becoming a shark. But that's a subject for another time. Or, of course, Jules Verne, who was way ahead of his time in his thinking and projected into the future fantasies that became reality. Or maybe, just maybe, it's because of this gentleman. Who knows this guy? Thank you, but I meant the one in the middle. Not the one with the fashion faux pas. Which I bet probably fit right now. And that's my sister right here, and I believe she's in the audience. Cindy, are you here? Cindy. I don't see you. I know you're here, you're hiding. Anyway, the lights are too high, I can't tell. And Fabien Cousteau was an inspiration, of course, to hundreds of millions around the world for over 50 years. And he created 136 documentaries, including some of the teaser that we were just rolling kind of as a B-roll while you were walking in, The World Without Sun and the Silent World, The Voyage to the Edge of the Earth. many, many others. But for us, he was an inspiration in a different way. He was our grandfather. But he was a grandfather that cared very much about the next generations. He was one that really loved telling stories and immersing us in his experiences virtually. And I think that really sprang home for me. Because, as he used to say, when one person has a chance to lead an extraordinary life, they have no right to keep it to themselves. And I think it's with that as an adventurer, as a storyteller, we can do the best good to bring in the world and many people who may never get a chance to experience some of the things we do, so that they may learn and fall in love with the oceans, with other things, and they can become better stewards of our planet than we've been. I love immersing myself in experiences. This was during Ocean Adventures, which was aired on PBS for many years. The Ocean Future Society crew and I and my sister, actually my father right there, had an opportunity to live and work in places as exotic as the Amazon River and dive with cute, cuddly creatures like the caiman, piranha, the anacondas, and all sorts of other wonderful animals. And really learn a little bit more about that human-ocean or human-water connection. Now, I mentioned in the beginning that I have crazy ideas, and I am not the only one to have those kinds of ideas. But I wanted to rekindle something that I feel is an amazing tool and a unique perspective in that 99% of our world's living space, the ocean. And that's living on that final frontier. Because as opposed to a submarine, or a boat, or an ROV, or even diving, living at the bottom of the ocean offers something very unique. It offers the luxury of time to wander into your coral gardens, to go see your neighbors, to collect scientific data in a way you just can't do from any other vehicle. Now, as I said, we share this crazy idea with many others, and there's some pioneers in the past. There's Hydrolab and Sea Lab, and of course the Conch Shelf series of habitats, including right here, Conch Shelf 2 in the Red Sea, where you can see that the French really know how to live underwater. And it really gave me this idea. Hey, here we are, 2013, 2014. For the last couple of decades, we really haven't been paying enough attention to the ocean the way we should be. And it could be for many reasons. Maybe our storytelling skills are not good. Maybe we need to brush up on new ways of reaching people. Maybe we need to use and reinvent certain platforms and use them in new and innovative ways to reach as many people as we can in modern times. Because as much as my grandfather's days, he reached hundreds of millions of people through traditional media, more and more people are looking online. More and more people are seeing things through alternate sources. And we need to recognize that and be prolific about our approach. This beautiful structure, this archaic dinosaur chained to the bottom, this robot of the future, this legacy, this dinosaur, and this step into the next fin step in ocean exploration. It's called Aquarius, and as Harry mentioned, it's the only remaining undersea marine laboratory in the world. And how amazing is it that Florida is the home to this habitat? I had nothing to do with that, but thank you. You can thank Noah, you can thank a lot of people. As a matter of fact, I'll take this opportunity to thank a lot of people in this room. Because although this idea was a crazy idea that spawned from somewhere in this jelly between my ears, for every person out there, there are 100 that make things possible. And I can't thank the people that supported Mission 31 enough. starting, of course, with the folks at the National Marine Sanctuaries, our sponsors, and there are too many to list, of course, but of course Doxa and Nokia and so on and so forth. And I'm sorry, I apologize, I'm not going to go through the list. You can see it on mission-31.com if you're interested, though. But the crew, the volunteers, the Navy, the folks at Aquarius, Reef Base, FIU, Northeastern University, MIT, Serengo, Backscatter. I mean, those are just a handful. My family, our friends, our newfound friends, 3 of them are in the room tonight. Holt, Paul, Adrian, all you guys, Sylvia, Dan, Billy. Do I keep going? That's my sister sitting, of course, and my father. The point is that this was an extraordinarily difficult endeavor, extraordinarily expensive, and had never been done at Aquarius before. Spending a full month, a full lunar cycle, was by far the longest and most difficult at Aquarius. Now, for those who don't know, Aquarius is a fantastic place. Imagine 6 people, 5 of you best friends and you, inside something the size of a school bus for 31 days. The hall is about 2 feet wide. You have bunks right at the end. But the idea really isn't to stay in this habitat. The idea is that because of the luxury of time, because your body is saturated, so to speak, you don't have to be relegated inside the way Matt, my DP and producer, is here, and Liz, one of my scientists, is on the right side, to stare out of a viewport. The idea really is that you can take a fin step outside any time you want. And as opposed to diving, so this is based at 65 feet, opposed to diving where you can go down there for maybe an hour before you have to come back up. You can wander off 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a day and really study the animals and see them in a way that you've never seen them before. See what happens to a fairly familial place like Conch Reef in a way that the underwater cities open up to you and show you a soap opera, a fireworks display of life, the way you just can't do from diving or from being segregated in an ROV or tethered on an RV or in a submarine. Now, before I get a little too crazy with this, I'd like to share a little video that 2 of our young scientists, Adam and Andy, who I believe are in the crowd. Are you there? Oh, there you are. Oh my gosh, is that a whole FIU crowd over there? Yeah! Well, we'll have to celebrate afterwards, guys. Thank you for coming. I actually have a lot of people in the audience that are spies. For those of you who don't know, they're all Aquanauts. But Adam and Andy, you guys one night came back in from one of your long days out and did a little video blog. So we're going to share that. It's actually up online. But before we show you the teaser, I want to share this with you because you guys are so funny and exhausted that I think it's worth sharing. Now, just so there's a disclaimer on this one. Scientists are my first love. I love to hang out with them because they're so amazing and they dedicate their lives to things that we know so little about. But they're not necessarily the best camera people. So with that said, Adam and Andy, here you go. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about this slide. Actually, that's Andy. That's not you, Adam, that's me. No, Andy, I'm going to paraphrase here, and I know this is a pulse amplitude modulated fluorometer. It took me months to say that correctly. Or PAM for short. And it uses fluorescence to gauge the health of corals and other things. But basically, I like to call it the coral proctologist. For obvious reasons. But it was just one of the amazing tools that we were able to use down there, cutting-edge tools that normally people don't have much access to, and really did give us much more of an insight on some of the issues that we're facing today with acidification and temperature variations and pollution and so on and so forth. And I'm not going to go too deep in that because Mission 31 is really about seeing things through the lens of adventure.